For 10 straight years, the Regent Park Soccer House League for Kids, that has been a free program at Nelson Mandela Soccer Field on Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., is currently struggling to continue their free program for the kids in the Regent Park community and surrounding areas, as they no longer have funding to keep running the program. According to Regent Park longtime resident and Director of Operations of the Regent Park United Soccer Club, T'ai James Simm-Smith, said their Regent Park Social Development Plan grant application for 2022 was denied. Simm-Smith wrote a statement on the RPNA Community Discussion Board on Facebook to let the community know about their lack of funding to run the kids' soccer program. Although the Regent Park United Soccer Club did not receive the funding from the 2022 SDP call for proposals, the City of Toronto did award Toronto Futbol Athletic Advancement in the amount of $66,125. RPTV interviewed T'ai James Simm-Smith and fellow coach Orville Reynolds to know more about this story. Let's hear what they have to say.
Sure. My name is T'ai Simm-Smith. I'm one of the coaches in the Regent Park Soccer League. And
I'm Orville Reynolds, another coach in the Regent Park Soccer League. Been coaching here for about 10 years. T'ai, a little bit longer, I think.
Yes, about the same, I would say. So, to put things in context, I grew up in Regent Park in the neighborhood, and my soccer experience was mostly playing at school. My mother did not have the funds to put me into a competitive rep soccer team because we didn't have the money. She was raising 4 kids on her own in the Regent Park neighborhood. Regent Park at one point did have a soccer team when I was about 13 or 14. There was a coach hired by the city. He put all the kids in his van and drove us to all the games. He did not know much about soccer, didn't teach us much, but he attended all the practices and all the games and gave us the opportunity to play soccer. Even though we lost every game, it was still an experience for Regent Park kids in the neighborhood. Fast forward a few years later, again, I only played elementary school, high school soccer, and then eventually under 21, where that's where I kind of got a little better at my skills. Eventually, I got to university and made the soccer team as a walk-on, but I could see the disparity between myself and other players who got to grow up playing that competitive rep experience. I was not as finely tuned skilled as they were. I could do some things. I was still good enough for the team, but I was not at the level that I felt I should have been at, just because I lacked those experiences. In university, I got my coaching license and my soccer refereeing license, and I found that, you know, I coached everywhere, University of Toronto, Seneca College, other soccer clubs. And then when I was a referee, you could clearly see the difference in the players of the schools. You could tell the players from the schools whose parents had money and put them in their soccer programs, who played for teams, were substantially much better than the other players who may be very athletic, but their parents could not afford to put him in any soccer program. And I saw the gap growing, not just in soccer, it's in track and field, it's in basketball, it's in various sports. When I was young, you can get away with your athleticism. Now, the playing field has changed as parents are putting their children in these competitive programs, giving them already like a head start. They already have a head start because they have money, but now they're even further ahead because they're good at a sport. So and we know with children, playing a sport gives confidence and self-esteem and a lot of life skills building things that help you as a person growing up. So it was always my dream to make sure that Regent Park kids have the same coaching standard as the other kids get that you have to pay money for. So I used to always hit up Lucky Booth, who was in charge of the City of Toronto, to work or volunteer. When I was in university, I wanted to volunteer soccer programs, volunteer. It just never happened. I came down to try to meet with certain people. It never happened until 2013 when Toronto Youth Development, a registered charity, hired me as a director of the Regent Park Soccer League. So they wanted me to start a soccer league for free for the kids in the Regent Park neighborhood. Orville Reynolds was one of our volunteers who came aboard, and we had kids ages 6 all the way to 14. I focus on the 6 to 10-year-olds, or we'll focus on the 10 to 14-year-olds, and the league was a success that summer. Our first summer was very successful. After a year of indoor and outdoor soccer for the kids in Regent Park, I had to leave the charity because they could no longer pay me. But Orville and I had a discussion, and as a volunteer, he wanted to stay to continue the program. We thought it was the best interest for the kids in the community to continue the program. So thankful to Orville, the program has still continued to this day, and it's actually grown and become very successful. Now, at that time, after that, I got a job with the City of Toronto, finally, and I was running soccer programs at North Regent. And then when the new community center opened up, we had skill sessions on Tuesdays, house leagues on Wednesdays, and a house league on Saturdays. So we had, hundreds of kids playing soccer for free in the community center, free programming, and Orville's programs was going on at the same time, and we would share the same kids. I would facilitate kids to go to his program. He would facilitate kids to come to my program. And we just thought, the more soccer experience for these kids, the more coaching they can get is beneficial to them growing up. Whether they want to be a soccer player or not, they'll know how to play the game. They'll learn certain skills that could help them as individuals and give them confidence. So this continued for many years until the program started getting really big and we started getting some really good players coming out of it. We didn't have enough for a full team, so we sent some players to Cherry Beach Soccer Club because Orville had a close affiliation from previously working there. I also used to work there as well, so we know the owner, John Hendricks, and we sent some players to play on competitive rep teams there, and they got to play for free. Eventually, though, we had enough players to start our own team, and our players wanted their own team here. We had 2 age groups, a 2007 and 2008 bunch of kids, and they wanted to play together. So the first time Orville, he used to organize exhibition games with a lot of other clubs for these kids, but I kept hearing the same story, like, when are we going to have our own team? When are we going to have our own team? So eventually, Orville went around to the community, to all the businesses, got to try to raise some money for it. We fell short because it was about 10, 15 grand that we needed. We didn't have it, so we had to give the money back. And thankfully, a year later, we were able to find a sponsor who could sponsor the team. And we got our first team in finally, a 2007-2008 boys team to play competitive soccer for a summer season. And it was a huge success. There's a lot of things we had to curve and work on: discipline, goal setting, the value of hard work, respecting their coaches and the players and the opposition. And there was a lot of work put into it by myself, Orville, and some other volunteer coaches who's involved in our program. And it became very successful, and our house league got more successful, and the city programs became more successful. There were hundreds of kids at that point. I remember up until right before the pandemic, we had hundreds of kids playing soccer, and we were trying to have more teams coming up, more competitive teams, until present day. We have now, last year we had 3 competitive teams and a successful house league of over 100 kids, all playing soccer for free. Uniform, we provide equipment, shin pads, the whole uniform, and we would have to even find ways to get the kids to the games because parents are working or parents are looking after other kids. So we would facilitate taking these kids, whether by TTC or driving them to the games ourselves. And so we come to this present day. Now today, our program is growing so big and expanding so much that we could have almost 4 or 5 competitive teams. And we're always trying to look for the younger groups. So we had our 2007-8 boys are U16. Then we had the Hurricanes, which is a U14 team. And then we have Spartans, who was a U11. And we're even thinking of starting a U8 team because we have a lot of little kids who've been in our program since they were small, and they're getting pretty good, and we want them. They need to get that experience of playing competitive league soccer. So we were roughly going on small private donations. We have our own website, regentpark.ca, regentparkunited.ca, and we were trying to fundraise money every single year. We have small fundraisers and a few grants here and there, a few things, some Canadian Tire Jump Start, but never any huge substantial funding. And Orville crunched the numbers. It could cost up to $100,000 for us to run a successful program, but to get the bare minimum would be about $66,000. And we've applied for these big grants before, but we've never gotten them. So this year we were very hopeful that due to the success of our program, our U16 boys finished undefeated last season. We now play games at the Regent Park Athletic Grounds on Friday nights, which we had to go see the city councillor to obtain that permit, but she was very helpful in that, Christine Wong Tam, and our sponsor, Denim Jolly, who were hugely involved in helping our program continue. At this point now, Christine Wong Tam's moved on, and Denim Jolly has also moved on, and we are hoping to finally get now some community funding, some government funding, so our program to continue to grow and exist. Unfortunately, this year we didn't get any funding again, but I find that a lot of other organizations are getting the funding who are not doing the kind of work that we're doing. We have a soccer league, 3 competitive teams, hundreds of kids involved. Yet I find that programs who are very minimal, who don't do the large-scale programming that we do for kids or facilitate the type of activities for kids that we have, we're getting the funds. And we're just kind of trying to figure out what can we do to secure government funding so that our program can exist successfully. I'm going to pass it off to Orville because he knows more about the application process that he put in for the grant this year and what he's going to talk about exactly what we want. We just want the kids to play soccer. You know, we wanted the funding, sure, but if another organization gets the funding, we were hoping that they would do the programming that we do for the kids. And at this point, we don't know what's going to happen because we've never seen them do the kind of programs that we do for kids. And I'm just going to pass it off to Orville right now.
What we've always been looking for is for there to be an inclusive, accessible program, soccer program in Regent Park for everyone. And that means no barriers for their participation, no fees. They can get to the fields, the gyms very easily. It's in the community. And if we're able to provide that year-round, both in the winter, in the summer, then that's job done. And I think we've been able to do that for the past 6 years, competitive and recreational programs being run year-round. And the support that we've had has been through private donations, a few grants here and there, which have been able to, we've used that to run the program as best we can. With the increased interest in the competitive teams, in the recreational programs, we're now in 2 gyms instead of 1 gym. We're at Nelson Mandela and at Lord Dufferin every Saturday, on Wednesdays. Because of the interest in the competitive program, we now rent a indoor soccer facility fairly close by once a week. And of course, all of those venues come at a cost. So with the increased interest, we've got to cover those. So we applied for the grant. Unfortunately, we didn't receive it, but it did go to another soccer program, which is great. From our standpoint, we're just looking for everybody to be able to play at the level of soccer that is commensurate with their ability and their desire, their ambition to play. So that can be recreational, could be competitive, whoever, and whatever they want to play with regards to soccer, they can in Regent Park. That was the goal. And we hope that continues, because that's the program we've been trying to offer. And the way the grant proposal, because I guess that's what we're talking about, went, we got feedback that you know, they were looking for different things in our application. I think in our application we stressed that the program that we've been offering for the last 10 years has been extremely inclusive, very accessible, particularly in that it is a free soccer program. And now we're at a point where we want to help the soccer program that has received the grant to continue to ensure that there is inclusive, accessible soccer for everyone in Regent Park.
Friday we had a meeting with the coaches, yes, to discuss what our plan is going forward, since we obviously didn't get the funding for a 10-year-old program while newer, younger, smaller organizations did, which is, the community has spoken. So we feel that if they granted that organization the programs to run and facilitate kids' soccer programs, then let's let them do it. We want to see the kids play. So the ball is in their court. If they're going to run the programs, run them. Now, we will run our program maybe just in case if they don't, but we don't know if we can fully facilitate it without the funding that we needed. We right now for sure are going to continue with 2 competitive rep teams. We wanted to go to 5 and expand. We wanted to continue the 3 that we have and expand 2 more. But the reality is it's 20 grand a team, so we're going to go with our U16 team and one of our younger teams, and we'll still play Friday nights at Regent Park. But the House League is in the other organization's court. I mean, they got the $66,000 to run a program for kids. They should be doing it. If they don't, then I guess maybe we'll have to step in and try to run something for the children. But I mean, it shouldn't have to come to that. It should be just like everyone. The programs are there no matter what. So, I mean, I want to see the program still run. But if we continue to keep running programs and other organizations keep getting the funding to not run those programs, why are we running the programs then if we're not getting the funding for it? Maybe the people who get the funding should be running the programs instead. And that's okay, as long as the programs are running and they're given the same quality of coaching and mentoring and opportunity for the kids that we were giving them. And that's all we want to see, right? No matter who gets the funding, just keep the same level of programming going. Unfortunately, this is not the case, and I know this in my City of Toronto experience because I work for the City of Toronto, and we had an amazing program that I facilitated and ran, coordinated and was the head coach of. We had the athletic grounds, and we had basketball and soccer and tennis, so I had hundreds of kids there a week, and I had hundreds of kids in the winter season in there, and as soon as I got pushed out of my city job, thanks to Peter Kiwanis and Lucky Booth, they don't have any programs anymore. There's not hundreds of kids playing soccer now through their programs. There's not hundreds of kids playing basketball and so on. So it's very sad. So there's, I know for a fact, is a situation where I got pushed out of a situation where I was facilitating many programs for kids, and now it's not there anymore. Thankfully, and this is what kept me going, was that we still had a Regent Park soccer program. So I thought, if we don't have the city program, the city's not going to run soccer programs because they can't do it because I'm no longer there. I can still run it through my Regent Park United program. Orville's still there. Many other coaches are still there. And so I never have to do it by myself. We have tons of people helping out, and we're still continuing to this day. Even though the city programs have been dead for about 2-3 years. I mean, COVID didn't help, but since COVID, the soccer programs there have been bare minimum. Mickey Mouse, like I said, that's how it reverts to, right? Instead of giving them that good quality coaching that if you lived in Forest Hill, you would get. Or if you lived in North York, you would get because you could afford to pay $1,500 a season or $800 for the House League, right? That's what those kids are getting. They can get those. I know because I work for them. I know because I know what those parents pay. And they love me to come up there and coach their kids, and they have a fantastic time, and they're so grateful and happy. I wanted to do the same thing here in Regent Park so that the playing field is fair and equal. So that when a kid in Regent Park goes up against a kid in North York and they go to the same high school, they both have the same chance to make the soccer team because they both have been coached accordingly and properly. As opposed to the kid who got Mickey Mouse coaching and the kid who got expertise coaching, the rich kid's going to get it every time. And it's a sad reality of the world now, right? If you want your kids to succeed in a sport, you got to put them in the program and you got to pay for it, all right? And it shouldn't be that way. So we will continue to be in Regent Park offering quality standard of coaching for the kids so that they could compete with anyone in the world. We want them to compete with anyone in the world in that sport. They don't have to be the best. They don't have to go professional, but they can hold their own. They can gain confidence and know a skill, and they can be part of a team, whether it's in high school or university or college. Or they can play for fun later. Or some of them end up junior coaches or start coaching themselves and giving back to the community. And the cycle reciprocates and continues.
Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And please follow our social media platforms. And for more information, please visit our website.